Boom, or rather say kaboom. Look who stepped into the room. What is going on, my friends? Hope you're doing well. I am Ozeal, and man, it's been a minute since I've done a live stream. So if I please forgive me in advance if I start pressing things on this keyboard and it starts going all over the place. So first and foremost, let me know. Let's do a quick sound check because it sounds amazing on my end. But let me know if how I am going through on your end. Hey, Facebook user, I don't see your name. So hello, drop your name so I can address you properly. And so let me know how the sound is. I am using a new little setup here. So let me know how it's going through your earbuds. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, so let's jump right in. Hold on one second. Good to go. What is up, Jesse? What is up, Eric, my man? How are you doing? Eric Calderon, Vid Houston in the house, amazing YouTube content creator, and then of course Jesse, fellow insider. And then somebody says sounds good. Not liking my back. I know. Listen, I was going back and forth because I'm working with a really tight room and I don't have the fancy background. I'm so sorry. And I was trying to decide whether or not I should blur it, or maybe just keep it white. But it's white, so maybe if I take it off the blur, it really wouldn't matter. So I will mess with that in a bit. I just don't want to start pressing buttons here, and then I do something that will completely boot me out and kill the vibe here. So, but noted, I feel you because I'm not really big on, and I was thinking about doing a virtual background, but I'm not a big fan of virtual backgrounds either. So, anyhow, we're going to work with this. I got you. Thank you. What's going on? It's Don. Don, of course you would, man. Don Terrell, the color emotion, my boy. Don, you're gonna have to hook me up, man. I wish I had a nice background like the color emotion. So I need you to come over, not today, but maybe some other time, and help me with the background, bro. So yes, we'll have to link that up, even if it's virtual. I've seen some really good virtual backgrounds, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen one that I'm like in love with. So I may just go with the white. But thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Don Terrell, color emotion. So listen, I'm really, really excited. First and foremost, if you don't know, you're about to know. My name is Ozeal. I am a podcast coach, curator, creator, community builder, founder of Pod Houston, which some of you are watching this through Pod Houston, or you may be watching this on the YouTube channel, Podcast Influence YouTube channel. Definitely hold on one second. Boom, boom. Okay, cool. Virtual work. Well, okay, cool. I'm going to read your comment. Try not to get too distracted. So, yes, Podcast Influence YouTube channel, which I launched last year. So if you're tuning in from the YouTube lands, say hello and welcome. All right. So I am excited, y'all, because as I mentioned before, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've done a live. And, I really miss doing the live stream. I miss doing the podcast. So I'm ready to do this, my friend. Let me go ahead and press this real quick. Let me see. I'm going to play around here. And by the way, happy Valentine's Day. Hello. Happy Lover's Day to you. I'm not sure if you celebrate. And by the way, leave me in the comment section whether or not is Valentine's Day overrated, or are you feeling Valentine's? Like, are you all about the chocolates and the roses and the going out to eat and waiting in line for over an hour just to get seated? Are you into all that? If you are, no judgment. I feel you. I know I have a few friends that are all about Valentine's Day. They go all out, spend mad money. So let me know. I mean, hey, listen, to each their own. If you are into Valentine's Day, all good, all good. I mean, you know, I'll go ahead and I'll just say this. Like, I feel like it's a very generic day. I mean, let me be real. All right. Because you're, live with real with Ozil here. It's quite generic. Eric is like Facebook highly commercialized. Yes, I feel you. Hold on one second. Let me go and drop this real quick, real quick. You know, I completely agree with you. I'm not sure if that was Don who dropped that in the chat, but I am with you on that. Uh, Boom. Let me go ahead and drop the highly commercialized. Eric is like, look, I've been married for 30 years. Better keep the fire alive with some flowers and chocolate. You know, I'm with you. Like, definitely, I think, you know, my ladies love Valentine's Day. And even though they say, I really don't care for it, you know, some chocolates and some flowers really, you know, go a long way. So yeah, I'm not totally against it. Um, Even though it's a bit generic and I feel like people do go overboard with it. I do feel like it should be celebrated. Love should be celebrated every day, but this is the day where you kind of do the little extra. And sometimes, you know, chocolates and roses and a little dining out. Nothing wrong with that. So, but if you're single, double the love. Like I said, all love for everybody. Valentine's Day should be every day. 1000%. 1000%. It should be every day. I feel you on that. So happy Valentine's Day. And I want to say recovering, although yesterday was a serious cheat day. It's been a really lazy weekend. And and yesterday I indulged a little too much on the Super Bowl. Did anybody catch the Super Bowl? Did your team win? And what did you think of the commercials? But for me, more importantly, what did you think of the halftime show? Leave it in the comment section. What did you think of the halftime show and what did you think of the game? It was a pretty dope game, actually. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really close. I was like, Rams, what's happening? Like, can y'all just throw the ball? Like, I really didn't have a pick. I was kind of like, whatever, whoever wins. I was going for the underdog, Bengals. And then for a minute, I was just getting frustrated with the Rams because I was like, yo, you just guys are ramming yourselves into the ground by not throwing the ball. What's going on, Stratford? And he decided to throw the ball, and then things happen. So um, let me know. So Jesse, the story of Saint Valentine is a better Halloween story, dude. Yes, I've heard the story before, and yeah, pretty scary. Huh? So yeah, I feel that definitely not about love. So anyhow, yeah, definitely leave it in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought about the halftime show. So I want you to just share, like, just definitely interact with each other. You know, drop your links. Again, I know we have a few people here, Don and Eric, Jesse, and a few others that I'm watching here. Boom, boom, boom. Here, let me go and drop this comment here. Didn't see it, but have to check out the commercials on YouTube. Saw clips of the halftime show. Glad they highlighted rap. Yes, I didn't know it was that long. You know, hip hop has been around for what, a little bit over 50 years now, and it was the first time they've had MCs on the stage before. But this is the first like official like all hip hop showcase, and I thought that was a smart move by NFL, and kudos to the NFL. Um, but yes, I thought that it was long overdue. Me being a hip hop baby, I grew up listening to the music, so there was a lot of like nostalgia. Like I was like, oh my Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and of course Eminem. Although I felt like they should have ended off with Eminem that song. I can't even think of the name, but they should have ended off with that. But anyways, all in all, the showcase was dope, great energy, and I felt like they did a great job showcasing West Coast MCs. Um, and then of course being that it wasn't in Cali, I thought it made it a lot more just cooler. You know what I mean? It was a really dope vibe. So anyhow, okay, so I'm excited. I don't know, what are you guys drinking today? I'm here sipping on my second cup of coffee. Cheers to you. And then so if you're just coming in, again, just say hello, drop a comment. I want you to just really interact with everybody. I want you to interact. If there's anything that resonates with you, that lands with you, please drop it in the comment, and I'll make sure that I highlight the comment and show you some love. So today I wanted to go live for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've done live stream. I think it's been a couple of years, right, Don? I think Don and I used to have a live stream called Talking Creative. And then after that, I started kind of tapping into the live stream here in the Pod Houston group, but it's been a minute since I've done that. And then now because I am shifting gears and I'm really doubling down on this podcast relaunch, which I'm going to talk about. And of course, just getting more engaged with this community and just becoming more of a servant to this local podcast community we call Pod Houston. So live streaming is going to be a very important component, and just me showing up, once a week, maybe Monday. I'm thinking Monday may be a great day for me to do a live stream and just kind of share with you some tips and strategies and kind of some thoughts on what's happening in the podcasting world. So if you dig that, let me know. Um, and because that's a game plan moving forward, y'all, is going live. And my man Don says, glad to see you back doing live. Thank you, brother. It's been a minute. I want to be like you, man, when I grow up, going live every weekend. So if I can commit to once a week, I'm good, right? And of course, you guys can catch this on the replay and hit, actually not hit, type in replay, and then I'll be going back to answer any questions or comments you guys have. All right, so as I mentioned, it's been a minute, so I wanted to do a live stream to let you know that I'm going to be doing a lot more live stream moving forward. And also, another reason is we're celebrating today, y'all. We're celebrating. For those who know, if you're in the know, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, there's a secret newsletter. If you haven't signed up for it, no, it's not the Pod Houston newsletter. It's a different one. If you go to ozeal.net and sign up, I will give you exclusive updates on what's happening with my personal brand and what I'm doing with my community there and with this podcast. And so definitely go and sign up over there at ozeal.net. And also launching this podcast, there was a lot of things that I've learned, and I just wanted to go on here just to share some lessons. I thought that this was a great opportunity to celebrate with the Pod Houston Podcast Influence Academy insiders, celebrate this moment with you, because I'm super excited. As a matter of fact, today is like podcast launch day. This is all I'm doing. Okay. So I felt like what better way than to relaunch my podcast than on Valentine's Day, because I wanted to share the love. And you're like a cheesy Ozzy. Come on, man. But I really was thinking about it. When can I launch it? And I was gonna launch it actually about a month ago. And then I was like, man, what's happening here? Let me go and launch it. And I just picked the date, and I was like, why not? Valentine's Day, day of love. Let's go. So here we are on Valentine's Day, and I'm just super grateful to be able to do this with you guys. So that being said, last month in January, I devoted again the majority of my time. It took a lot of time and energy getting this podcast ready. So I was reassessing my brand. I was, trying to figure out where it was aligned, to my community and who I wanted to serve and the type of content I wanted to publish on this podcast. Assessing my equipment, getting my branding assets ready, the episode flows, all the above, right? You guys saw that post that I posted a couple of days ago in the Pod Houston group about all the work that is required to launch a podcast and all the work it entails. It's a lot of work. So prepping a podcast, it was a lot of work. And there were at times where I was just like, oh my God, this is pretty daunting. Like I got overwhelmed because there were so many things that were going through this dome. And I was like, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? So anyhow, so it was really, really crazy last month. So there were some lessons that I learned that I want to share with you today. And there were some lessons that really kind of stood out. And there were three in particular. So I want to go ahead and get to that and share them with you, rather, what I learned. So let me go ahead and see if I can get this up and going, y'all. Hold on one second. Don, I need like a stream deck like yours, bro, where it's just push a button. It's like bam, 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 bam. There's so many like moving parts when it comes to live stream that it can get a little challenging here. Okay, so let me go ahead and drop this. Okay, so lesson number one in relaunching my podcast: growth. Let me break it down for you. Relaunching my podcast was a process where I had to go through the learning process once again, and I do this for a living, as a podcast coach. But one of the things that really stood out was the importance of always leaving room to grow as a podcaster, as a content creator, simply as an individual. And I've always been one who subscribes to the growth mindset. Even as a coach, again, somebody says, I was having a conversation with somebody. They were like, dude, I thought this would be like super, super easy because I was sharing how, I hit some, speed bumps. There were some challenging moments here. And they were saying, well, you should know this because you've done this before. You're a podcast coach. This should be easy breezy, right? And I'm like, take it easy, because it wasn't breezy at all. And there were so many things that were challenging, like, discovering like all the new tools and all the tactics and all of that to help me get this relaunch going. So I had to like learn like what's happening in the podcasting landscape. And I keep my finger on the pulse simply because this is what I do once again as a coach, is really get to know what's happening with the tools and tactics. And now AI is coming in, and there's a lot of things to make it easy for you to launch a podcast, no doubt about that. And podcasting is a platform, compared to when I started, that's mad, like it's evolving very, very quickly. And the shiny object syndrome is real. Do you feel me on that? Like, it's super real, because there's a lot of AI tools and ways to edit and a lot of things to make it easier. But I was going through the process of like, man, I got to learn all this stuff, right? And I had to get reacquainted with the space from a different perspective, from as a podcaster, and then relearn some of the most effective practices to host a podcast in 2022. So I feel like the strategy never changes, but the tactics do, right? And the tools absolutely do, right? There's new hosting companies, and again, there's new software that's always coming out for you to try to keep up with, right? Especially with like live streaming and everything else happening. So growth, and drop it in the comment section, like, whether or not you're relaunching a podcast because you lost a co-host or you got burned out. Or I know some of you, like my friend here, Don, who had to like learn how to use live streaming, and it was completely foreign to him, but he had to learn how to use the tools. And there was an evolution. I got to see like Don evolve from like, using StreamYard, not having a fancy camera, but he was constantly putting out the content. He was evolving and changing. He was learning and learning, taking, webinar classes and courses, etc. So the growth mindset is super important. And it's something that I always share with even my clients. One of the most dangerous things you can tell yourself, and I hear, and I've caught myself like this before, recently actually, where it was like, I already know that stuff. Like, I've learned that before. He's saying everything that I know all this, right? Do you feel me on that? Like, have you ever told yourself like, I'm not going to go to that conference, or I'm not going to go to that meetup, or I'm not going to go and get this course because I already know that? That's a dangerous space to be in. Number one, that's ego talking, right? I got this covered. I got this. But you can't grow with that mindset, that fixed mindset of, I already know this. I don't need to attend another meetup or another course, or I don't need to join a mastermind because those zeal and those insiders, they're going to be saying the same thing over and over again. No, 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 no. Let's go ahead and scrap that. And I had to rediscover the importance of adopting this growth mindset, not because I was launching a podcast that's centered around personal development. So it's part of the core values of the podcast, but also because I do believe in this relaunching process, I had to adopt it again. I had to adopt, okay, I'm a student somewhat, right? I've done this before, but what can I do to really grow and adopt new tools and tactics and approach this podcast differently on 2022 versus like, back in the days when I started back in 2014 or so. You feel me on that? So that pretty much was a game changer for me. And it was definitely just brought perspective on the importance of growing. The second thing is, and I see the comments, guys, so I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to go back and but I love the engagement. So keep on pouring in there, sharing, and let me know what you're vibing with. Number two is simplicity. So going towards edging towards a new year back in 2021, couple months ago, right? I feel like February, it's going by quick. I was like, okay, what's my one word for 2022? Ironically, it was this word, simplicity, and ironically, it was the word that really stood out in getting this podcast relaunched. The art of keeping it simple. And as I mentioned, the shiny object syndrome is mad real in this space. And it's so easy to get distracted by all the latest tools and tactics available to us. A friend of mine recently said, as a matter of fact, Don, you're in here. He's like, hey, you should use this other live streaming service. Like, it's dope. Like, you can do so many things with the overlays, etc. And I already had this set up, which, by the way, I'm using StreamYard right now to live stream this. And I already had it. I'm somewhat familiar with it. But this other software, this other web-based software, I was like, oh, this is solid. I can use this. But I had to like press pause. I was like, wait a minute, wait. Ozil, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Shout out to Ice Cube. See, I'm hip hop, like 90s, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about it. All right. So I was considering like using it. And I was like, no, you know what? I gotta wait. I gotta chill out, because at the end of the day, let me use the tools that are available to me that I'm familiar with. Why add more to the plate? So, and during this whole relaunch process, I really found myself like overthinking a lot of it. Like, I was really overthinking and just trying to make decisions on what was the best online software for this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait, chill. Like, you got it, right? So my advice to you, if you're watching this or on the replay, keep it simple. Like, there are a ton of these. Okay. And every podcast coach will tell you to get this mic and then get this mic. And then they will tell you and you go down the rabbit hole and then, go on Anchor and then go to Libsyn and Buzzsprout, use this, to grow your audience, and use this for your email list. There's a lot. It's, again, shiny object syndrome. It's mad real. It's out there, y'all. It is. You feel me on that? Like, it really is. What camera to buy, etc. So it's important for you to just keep it simple and go super basic, very, very basic, and keep it simple, because you can always evolve and grow as a content creator, as a podcaster. And again, I found myself going down that path of over complicating the relaunch process or launching the podcast. And I was like, let's just keep it basic. Let's go with mic, hosting service. I'm using a webcam, nothing fancy. And then let's just put the content out there. Let's put the reps in there. Let's stay consistent. Let's learn. After maybe 10 episodes in, I can go back to my audience, survey my audience, say, hey, what's working, what's not, what are you feeling, what's not, resonating with you, and then tweak it as you go. But just keep it super simple and just create the content and put it out there. All right. So let me know what you think about that, and how are you like somebody who likes to keep it simple? Or are you the one who likes to kind of like try everything and then you figure out what you want to use with your equipment? Let me know in the comment section. The third lesson, my friend, is community. Community. Okay. Now, for you, Jesse, and some of those that are part of the insiders, I'm all about community, which is the reason why I decided to start a podcast mastermind. And I've said this before in many presentations and in other podcasts, that community is true currency. It's luxury. Like, I'm so grateful for the people I've had in my newsletter email list, from the previous podcast launch to everybody in the insider group and everybody in Pod Houston and Vid Houston. I've gotten a ton of support. I remember when I released the newsletter, when I was teasing that I was launching this podcast, I was like, man, nobody is going to listen. Nobody cares about me. They're probably, when I started, maybe they were listening to maybe one or two other podcasts aside from mine. And now, like, I think the average is like 7 to 8, and I'm not sure how many, maybe even more, right? A lot of people are listening to multiple podcasts these days. So it's gotten competitive. It's gotten noisy. Yes. So understanding that, I was a bit scared. I was like, man, is anybody really going to listen to this podcast now? Is this going to land, especially with my old audience? And sure enough, I was getting emails, like I was getting replies like, yo, congratulations. I'm really excited for the podcast launch. I'm so pumped up. And just getting this support from the community really meant a lot. It really did. And, I'm just super grateful, and I'm always sharing my gratitude for the community, whether you're watching this in Pod Houston or Podcast Influence Academy or the Podcast Influence YouTube channel. Like, I'm super grateful. And it was a reminder, and I think this is a lesson that I want this to land with you, that if you put your people first, if you put your people first, you will always win. Always. And that applies to when you create content, when you sit down and start crafting the content, and to when you press record. If you keep your people first, right? When worst comes to worst, my people come first. You feel me? Like, I don't know why I'm rapping that out. Maybe it was the hip hop uh halftime show. Like, a lot of raps going on, man. Anyways, so what I'm saying here is, when you come into, whether it's a live stream or a podcast, and you come into it with a servant mentality, like you want to serve your people, I mean, you're going to win, period. You know, and that's what I've done with the content. That's what I've done with the live stream. That's my mentality with the community, with the in-person events. You know, to me, it's just not passion work. Community is a meaningful work. So I wanted to share that and remind you once again, my fellow podcaster, content creator, is that if you put your people first, you're going to win. Like, it's going to resonate. Because I want to be honest with you, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and sometimes I get clients that simply, want me to give them feedback. One of the most common mistakes I see, not only in podcasting, on YouTube, on live stream, is that they talk way too much about themselves. Way too much. It becomes so self-centered to where I'm like, okay, what's the point here? Like, what's happening? And I never, like, I know we got 7 people here, watching. I don't take your time for granted. Like, I really don't. And I know some, nobody's ever excused me of brevity. Like, I know I like to flow and like to rant sometimes, but I want to bring it back to focus. And there's always going to be a core message of what I want to share with you. Right. So this one is 3 lessons I've learned from relaunching my podcast. And I'm going to try to keep this concise, but I want to give you something, right, to make sure that for you to understand and for you to adopt and apply it to your podcast growth, right? So we talked about growth, right? Talked about keeping it simple, simplicity, and then community, right? Because community is currency. And without your community, let's face it, you don't have an audience. You don't have a podcast. You don't have a live stream. So again, if you keep people in mind, and even, like, I'm all about, like, every now and then, quarterly, survey your audience. Say, hey, what's sticking? Like, what do you like? What don't you like? Right? So just surveying and constantly asking questions, because we want to create a podcast for a few, right? For some, for a community, right? Not a podcast for one, right? It could get lonely if you're just behind the mic, just sharing, like, I'm so passionate and hopefully this sticks. But, like, know that we're answering questions, we're educating, we're providing entertainment, we're doing something, because for example, in the Pod Houston group, like, this content is to help you grow your influence with podcasting, right? I really want to take a different approach from what other podcast coaches are sharing and other YouTube channels. Like, I want this to be a real, candid, raw approach from someone who has been in the game through, like, with branding strategy and understanding community for a long time, doing events for over a decade. I feel like I can bring something to the table, which is really the reason why I wanted to relaunch the podcast, was because I wanted to serve creators. This podcast is for coaches. This podcast is for community builders, and it's centered around personal development. I've always been very passionate about personal development, as I mentioned before, the growth mindset, staying motivated, staying consistent, staying focused, what it takes to build a community. All those moving parts is needed to create a successful, sustainable platform online, right? And I want to help you, the creator, um, with some of the lessons that I've learned. So it's very brief episodes. I think the one that I released today is called Rediscovering Your Zeal, your passion. It's about 7 minutes. It's going to be brief, but sometimes I'm going to jump in behind the mic and have conversations with some of you. I would like to interview some of you on the show where we can just vibe and talk about a creator lifestyle. Like, what does it take? Balancing day jobs with trying to build an online platform and going on live stream and some of the stress and the frustrations and the mental health that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, some more severe than others, to be able to own our zeal and own our potential, right? I mean, that's real. And I wanted to kind of dig into that conversation a lot more with my fellow creators and coaches and leaders, because I feel like there's a lot of tools and tactics, and here's 5 ways to grow. All that stuff is out there, and I'm not against it. Like, I follow some of that stuff, but I wanted to go skin deep. I wanted to lean inward. I wanted to lean into some of the topics that is not always so sexy, that we don't talk about, like mental health and how we fall off the wagon, and the stress of being consistent and going from wanting to build an audience, and also just getting unstuck, right? Getting outside of here, getting outside of our head, where we spend a lot of time. I know I do spend a lot of time here. So how can we get out of here and get out there? So as a coach, I want to serve my clients that way, but also through the content that I create, like these 3 lessons, I want to make sure that we share, that I want to share this content to help you on your journey. Because I know it's real, and I know there's a lot of moving parts. And social media, as we all know, it's nothing but flashes of happy moments and just ego. Really, that's all it is, right? It's a bit of ego, and it's okay. There's healthy ego and there's the unhealthy ego. And I'm also processing and navigating through this as well, just like you. And I just wanted to share this with you, and which is the reason why I wanted to launch this podcast. So I know I kind of veered off and went into the podcast, but let me go ahead real quick and pause. I see some comments. Let me see what's going on here. Boom, 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 boom. Eric Ozil, I got to run. All good, Eric. I know you're running, my man. Cheers, man. Thanks for sticking around. Grow, bro. What's up, Alex? All the way from YouTube. What's up, man? I'm trying to grow, man. I'm trying to grow. Jesse, my man Jesse, dope creator. Tactics and tools come and go. Strategy is forever. Yo, that's like tweetable right there, Jesse. You need to write that down, bro. Don't worry, I'll credit you. That's dope. I like that. I like that. So true. Tactics and tools come and go. Strategy is forever, which is, excuse me. And you know this, Jesse, because we've done some coaching sessions together. When people start podcasts, and Jesse, like, drop me a comment if I go off the rail and rant here. But when people start podcasts, people say, well, it's easy to start a podcast. Absolutely, 1000%. YouTube, courses, I got you. I have a course out there, Podcast Kaboom. You got it, right? It's easy. But what ends up happening to 99% of the podcasters that start a podcast is have no strategy. They get wrapped up in the tools and tactics and be like, hey, what's the best microphone and what's this? But they don't take time to marry strategy with their vision, with their mission, to ask themselves. And I talk about this in the podcast, like, 3 questions to ask yourself to rediscover your zeal. But I think it also applies when it comes to launching a podcast or a new platform, is that you really got to lean into, like, what is the strategy for this? Like, what is the strategy? And there's a branding strategy, right? Brand positioning, and there's voice, right? The tone of the show, the vibe, the type of guest, the way you deliver the content on the mic. Like, this is a skill set, right? And we all have it. You have the capability of doing that. But a lot of people jump into, let me just start it. And then they start it in their bathroom and they don't know what's happening. And then they're like, well, my podcast isn't growing. I'm like, well, you had no strategy. Okay. So if you catch it on the replay, my podcasters, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, or for my people on YouTube on the replay, you want to start a podcast, I'm with you. I got you. Easy to go down the rabbit hole of trying to consume content after video, after podcast episode. But if you don't have a strategy, the podcast will fail, period. And it's a common mistake. So anyhow, see what you did, Jesse? See, went down my own rabbit hole, bro. Um, let's see. Let's see. Yes, always something to learn. Don, you know about that. Always something to learn. Um, definitely a hyper learner. Squirrel, squirrel. Yes, yes. And that's another thing too. I'm glad you mentioned that because with learning, and we talked about this numerous times, is that you can get caught up in the rabbit hole of wanting to learn, becoming like a hyper learner, but being so obsessed with the learning that you don't execute on none of the ideas. So here you are, just like a wealth of knowledge, right? You got all the ideas, you got all some tactics and tools, you know it all. And next thing you know, you're not executing on none of it. Which is the reason why, going back to the growth mindset, I think it's important to revisit. Even though if you say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to go to this conference because I know that I already know this stuff," like go, but do you take action on it? I want to say you probably don't. So sometimes getting those reminders, those are like just constant like pokes of like, okay, let me try this tactic, or let me try this strategy to see if it works. Excuse me. So I'm with that. But yeah, the squirrel thing is real. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And then Don, you said work with what you know and work from there. Absolutely, absolutely. Just work. You have the content, you have everything. You started, and then just work and evolve from there. I think you can always add on to the to your content platform with time. So that's that. This has been awesome, guys. Once again, since we're celebrating the podcast with lots of love, cheers, coffee. Excuse me. Please, huge favor, and I really don't like to ask for favors, but this one is huge, and it would mean the world to me. If you head over to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast, follow. I was gonna say download, but now it's follow. See, that's another thing. Back then it was like subscribe to my podcast. Now it's like follow my podcast. I like subscribe still. So please follow. No permission needed with Ozeal, especially if you are a creator, if you're a coach, a community builder. This is going to be just short episodes. I'm going to release one every Monday. I'm thinking about adding another episode just between you and I, but I'm just trying to just kind of get my wheels going, get my flow going, and then build from there. But for right now, the new episodes every Monday. The last one is called Rediscovering Your Zeal, episode 147. So go ahead and check it out. It would, again, mean the world. And also leave me a review if you don't mind. And I'll make sure that I'll mention you in the next podcast. Um, Leave a review on Apple. It does matter. I'm trying to get to 100 reviews by the end of this month. So I believe that it's feasible, considering that we have a nice size Pod Houston community and I have some generous friends. So I know it takes some time. It doesn't take a lot of time, actually. I think the hassle is like going through Apple and be like, I need to go ahead and click this. But it's super simple now. Just go to Apple, say, scroll down to the bottom, click on write a review. I should have done like a little screen, write a review, and then drop me a review, and make sure you leave your name so I can give you some love on the next episode. So that's pretty much it. Let me know, guys, what's on your mind. What was the biggest takeaway? You leave it in the comment section. Out of all 3 lessons that I've learned, I feel like I can go on and on. There are a ton of lessons that I've learned. I won't say a ton, but there were quite a few, more than 3. But those 3 are the ones that really stood out. Growth, simplicity, and what was the other one? Community, of course, my favorite, community. So that was the one that was that really stood out for sure. And so, yes, let me know what's going on. Let me know how you're feeling. If not, you guys have any questions, any comments, I'm loving what I'm reading right now. If you're catching this in Pod Houston, shout out to everybody in Pod Houston. I want to share something with you. I feel like, yeah, this background is it looking weird on you guys? Like, I feel like yeah. Okay, maybe I just go with just a no blur background. So we're going to be doing an in-person Pod Houston event in a couple of months, maybe even sooner. So be on the lookout for that. I think the next one would probably be like a real casual, like laid back kind of coffee meetup. And then we're gonna do one like we used to back in the old school days. Some of you know, with the speaker, and we're gonna have it at a really nice venue. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really excited to get back to the in-person events. I feel like things are somewhat normal again, kind of, sort of. Yeah, yeah, feels like normal a little bit. So I feel like people, well, shoot, after looking at the Super Bowl, I was like, oh, shoot, everybody's mingling now. I feel like COVID, what? Um, COVID, who? Everybody's back in the mix, which is great because in-person events is where I thrive. That's what motivates me. That's what inspires me. That it just gets me going, and I'm really looking forward to getting that popping again. So let me go and drop this comment real quick. Boom, Jesse. Jesse always dropping bombs, man. Community has been huge in growing the Twitch channel, finding people that support because they want to, not transactional relationships. Jesse, 1000%. Y'all check out Jesse. Jesse, can you drop your Twitch? Do you have like a Twitch handle or where we can follow you on Twitch? So if you are on Twitch, please check out Jesse's Twitch channel. I'm so proud of him. He's part of the Podcast Influence Academy Insider Group, and he is crushing it. He's such like a natural. I'm always just going off on Jesse because he's a natural, talented live streamer and just talent behind the mic. Period. So I'm with you, Jesse. That's dope. I think that community definitely, and that applies to Twitch, to Facebook, to live streaming anywhere in any platform. Finding people that support because they want to. It's important, and that's why, like I always say, like when you promote yourself, like your content is not for everybody. Like I know, like this personal development, like this podcast, like I'm going to lose some people because it was somewhat what I was doing before, but maybe not. Like some people back then, it was a little bit more marketing and business, but now it's going to be a different approach. So it's not for everybody. So as Jesse said, find your people, like find where they're hanging out at, and start building relationships. And what I mean by that is like you know, people to people, like go like very narrow with it. I think what happens with the promotion, and Jesse, we talked about this recently, is that a lot of people talk about just kind of general, like podcast blast. We see it here in the Pod Houston group and in Vid Houston. People say, hey, check out my YouTube channel, and hey, check out my podcast. I want it to grow. It's just not the way to do it anymore. It's never been, but definitely not in 2022. So I think the marketing approach, if you're trying to grow your audience, is go where your people are at, and I'm pretty sure you've heard that before, but go narrow and go one-on-one. Start saying, hey, go into the direct person. I know you're into this. Check out this podcast episode. Would greatly appreciate some feedback, and just go narrow and see how you can connect per listener, per viewer. I think it's the way to go rather than broad. I think a lot of people go too general with it. So check out twitch.tv. He put it underscore Indocon, right? I think so you say it, Jesse. Don dropping some stuff. It's all about the relationships you build. That is so true. I have built so many amazing relationships through the podcast before. And a lot of my past guests are seeing that I'm relaunching the podcast, like, yo, what can I do to support you? Which I think is pretty dope. It goes back to the community, right? It's important. Like you take care of your people and they're going to take care of you, period. And, what you said, Don, is, it's all about the relationships. You have created this amazing YouTube channel, this online platform, The Color of Motion. You guys should check it out on YouTube. He goes live every Saturday. And Don, by the way, make sure you leave a link so that way our Pod Houston community can check you out. It's very niche. Don does a fantastic job with the live stream, and he has met a lot of great even also great individuals, period, but from all levels, like from high end, from people in Netflix and Disney to people that are just hustling and on the move, building their platforms. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to use this platform not only to educate, as my boy Brian Little says, educate, edify, and entertain your folks, but also use this platform to build relationships, and have them, with you, where you can speak to them, build a relationship. And I know the bulk of my friends online have been all past guests on my podcast. So it's been really, really cool to see that. And then, excuse me, having them come back and be like, yo, you got a podcast again. So I'm looking forward to kind of reconnecting with them and just building from there. Because, there's no better, audience building strategy. Let's talk about strategy, than starting a podcast, than starting a live stream. To me, there's nothing more powerful than that. And here's the beautiful thing about this is that the entry level is not high. Like it's super, super low. A microphone, USB, if you like, hosting service, and that's pretty much it. Editing software, and you're good to go. So it doesn't take much to launch a podcast and to build a platform online. I think what's more challenging, which we're going to talk about this on my podcast, is the mentality and the mindset of staying consistent despite having all the daily obligations and the personal challenges that we face as creators, as we're building a platform. It's not easy. And I know it's not easy. So when you're in the trenches, it gets mad real. And so again, goes back to building relationships and giving back to your community. So thank you, Don, for sharing the love. And there is Don's YouTube channel /Don Terrell, and the show is called The Color of Motion. Check that out. And Jesse, drop it in. You got it. Big day. So yeah, so Jesse had just posted in our insider group that he's gonna go streaming for 12 hours. Jesse, what's happening in the 12 hours, bro? Come on, that's a double, man. I used to work the double back in my bartending days, and that killed me, man. So I'm curious. I'm going to check in, man. I'm going to check in and see what you're going to be doing. You say you're slightly terrified. Man, you got this, bro. You're such a pro. You've done so many live streams, and you're such a natural. I'm just curious to see what exactly you're going to be doing for 12 hours, man. That's a long time. I'm assuming that you're going to take breaks and eat Chipotle while you're doing a live stream, and then come back and then play a game. Or I don't. What's the game plan, man? I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to check it out. So. And we'll make sure that we post it here in the Pod Houston group, because I know you posted in the Insider group as well. So I'm excited. Jesse, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, Don Terrell. Don, you're going to do a 12-hour live stream? Come on, man. We should do a Talking Creative 12 hours, bro. How about that? We can do that. Just interview, just bring in different guests. You could do that, man. You could do that. That'll be fun. All right, so once again, let me go ahead and put this out here. Oh, I forgot I had that. Look, there you go. Boom, my little ticker. See? I was supposed to do that earlier, and then I'm just now saying, oh, yeah, I did that. Okay, I forgot about it. See, that's what I'm talking about. I need a stream deck to make this easier. Okay, so at the bottom, again, follow No Permission Needed podcast, a little shameless plug. And please kindly leave me an Apple review. Be gentle, y'all. Just don't call it a comeback, but I'm back. And I'm tweaking a few things. So leave me a comment or a review, rather. And of course, if you are interested in joining this amazing mastermind that we have called Podcast Influence Academy, head over to podinfluence.com and sign up. We have an amazing group of content creators, of leaders, podcasters, live streamers, and they are all dope. And what I mean by that is not only are they dope individuals, but they're all committed. So I'm so proud to call all of them friends. And, Jesse, we talk about this too. Those mastermind groups, we have master classes every month, right? So we bring on an expert every month to share their expertise so we can learn something. But the accountability and the support, and I'm going to talk about that at a different time, but it's just amazing with these guys and ladies. So I love it. I love Podcast Influence Academy. So if you are interested, let me know, and check out podinfluence.com, or just DM me if you want more information. So that's a little shameless plug there. Let's see. 1 second. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Great job. Thank you, Don. Don, we did it, Daddy. We did it. Thank you, my man. Thank you. We did it. First official live stream of 2022. Let's go. Let's go. Go have a drink of caffeine. We are doing it, my friends. So thank you guys, Jesse, Don, um, who else was here? Eric, everybody else who was involved in this stream. And for those who catch this on replay, hit me up on replay, comment, ask me questions, um, and I'm here for you. So once again, if you're catching this on Pod Houston, use this room, my friend, this community rather. Use this community to build relationships. Use this community to ask your questions. We have a lot of podcasters and creators from all levels, and we have your medicine. We got your medicine here at Pod Houston. So ask your questions, get the support you need. If you need guests, also if you would like to give me some feedback on how we can make this. Just a better community overall. I mean, the community is dope as it is. And shout out, by the way, Danielle, our moderator, for holding it down here in Pod Houston. Love, 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 Danielle. And but yes, let us know. We're always open for feedback, and let us know how we can make this group even more amazing than it already is. Okay, all right. So that is it, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been a lot of fun. Wow, we went an hour. Nice. Um, Had a ton of fun, and I hope that you can join me next. I think you know what we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do it again next week. We're gonna go at it again, and with more content. And again, I'm gonna go in here, chop it up with you guys, but also create content that can help you in your podcasting journey. So if you have any questions too, if you have anything you would like for me to cover live, then email me. Email me at ozeal@ozeal.net. And then I'll make sure that I put it on the list. And then I'll make sure that I answer your questions live on a Monday stream. All right. Thank you so much. Hopefully this was enjoyable. Hopefully you got some value. It was good vibing with you. Happy Valentine's Day once again. Love, love, love you for showing up and for being you, And I look forward to till next time. All right, guys, got to run and make it happen. You guys have an amazing day. Peace, one love, and I'll catch you next Monday. Cheers.